and welcome to another lesson. And in today's lesson, we are going to be talking about how to solo on the verse chords for the song Hotel California without all the mumbo jumbo and having to play a new scale on every single chord. I'm going to share with you some really simple ways to solo through chord changes but not blow your mind out of the water while you start to learn. It's a really, really cool technique that I learned from Mark Dominy. So if you haven't heard of the band Loose Change, definitely check it out. But yeah, he helped me to understand this kind of more jazz understanding of soloing through changes or jazz fusion. And so this really helped me to understand and make it really simple that you can practice in little chunks that actually make musical sense, and we're not trying to play way too many scales over every single chord. All right, so without further ado, let's jump in. And I'm going to explain the theory behind what we're going to do, and then I'm going to give you some examples of how to actually apply what we've just learnt. All right, so on the screen we have the how to solo on Hotel California verse. And this is the no capo version, meaning that we're in the key of A minor. So the actual song is in the key of B minor, and usually we play these same chords, but with a capo on the second fret. If you don't know what the capo is, don't worry about it. We don't need it. Anyway, so our chords for this song are A minor, E7, G, D, F, C, D minor, and E7. And then back to A minor. So I'm just going to go through what the notes are in every single chord. So if you don't know how to do this just yet, this is going to be a skill that's going to be very useful for you in learning how to solo through different chords. So this is a really useful skill. If you don't know how to do it yet, I've done it for you in advance. So if we have a look at all the notes in each chord, we've got A minor's got A, C, and E. E7's got E and G sharp, B, and D. And don't worry about this highlight G sharp and highlight F sharp just yet, etc., 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 until we get down to all the chords. So why this is important is that if we take every single note, meaning starting from A, because we're in the key of A minor, and just wrote down A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then wrote down every single chord, every single note in all of these chords, we end up with this, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, F sharp, G, and G sharp. So now we've got every single note in this verse, in this part of the song, which might look a bit overwhelming at first. But if we have a look at the A minor scale, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the natural notes, all the white keys on a keyboard. And if we have a look now back at all the notes, we've got the same thing, except we've got this additional F sharp and this additional G sharp. So this kind of blew my mind when I started doing this technique. It actually helped me really understand that when I am faced with a song with chords that are not in the key, the diatonic chords of the key, it doesn't have to mean that I have to learn a whole, re-understand music theory. I just need to change a couple little notes here and there, and that will keep me out of water, out of hot water. Yeah, the beautiful part about this is if I did change and totally played a totally different scale over this, it's less jarring to the ear if I actually played a totally different scale over this chord. I really want to keep things as consistently as possible because that's more pleasing to the ear rather than changing a whole bunch of notes and making lots and lots of big shifts. So that kind of makes sense to me musically. When there's lots and lots of surprises and lots of changes, it's very difficult for the listener to enjoy and to follow. And obviously there are certain styles of music that's the name of the game. But for this, I'm thinking that I want to make the minimum amount of changes possible. So now that I've said the A minor scale and all of our notes are very, very similar, if we look at the A minor pentatonic scale, we've got A, C, D, E, and G. So if we played A minor pentatonic licks through this whole thing, we're probably going to be pretty safe, except for where we have the E7 chord, which has this G sharp note. So we change our G note to a G sharp. So if you're following, hopefully, that's good. And because we're omitting the F note, the sixth scale degree of A minor, we don't have to really worry about the changes over the D minor and the D major because they're exactly the same. Now, if we did want to highlight both of those changes, All we need to do over the E7, which is here and here, we just change from our G natural note to our G sharp. And then if we wanted to highlight from A minor, we would play an F sharp, which is also a Dorian. Let me just make sure I'm correct in saying that. Yeah, it's an F, an A Dorian scale, if anyone knows that. So it's the minor scale, but with a natural 6, not a flat 6. So here's our natural 6, F sharp, instead of our flat 6, F. So now we're armed with this information, like how do we actually apply this? So I'm not expecting anyone that's just learning how to do this. So now, all right, great, Brett, let's go and jump in and play all these different changes and all these different notes over this chord progression, because we've simplified it, but it still doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be super easy. So what I'm going to do now is actually bring up my little guitar on the screen. And I'm actually going to play a couple of these examples. But what we're going to do, instead of trying to play through the whole thing, we're just going to highlight the first 2 chords and maybe the second 2 chords to help us change between the A minor and the E7 and the G and the D. So here I have prepared a little backing track between A minor to E7. So you take A minor chord and an E7. So now I'm going to start my pentatonic scale in that very predictable shape here. There's my E7 chord back to A minor. So I'm going to play A minor pentatonic, G sharp, So the reason why I'm only doing 2 chords is so that gives me enough space and time to kind of just focus on changing one little note. And also I can then start to expand on that and start to move that into some different areas of the guitar. But I just want to cement it in one idea, in one area. So cement the one idea in one area so that then when I try and improvise through the rest of it, I don't have too many things making sense. So the idea is we want to focus on our timing and our tone. So we want to make sure that our timing is more important than trying to play 1 billion notes. That's my perspective anyway. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to shift our little backing track to play over the G to D major. So we want to highlight the F sharp in this. And so just before I go over that, let's go over A minor scale, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. So I'm going to change this F note to an F sharp. So I can either do that by sliding up there, or I can actually play it here. So that's going to help me highlight a D major scale. Oh, sorry, the D major chord. So I'm going to play A minor scale over the G, because we're still in the key of A minor. Maybe highlight some, like the G chord, which can be, where would I do that if I was here? So I'd play it maybe there, or little inverted B, D, G. There's my notes for G in that space. Let's put the thing on. Backing track. So there's my G, there's my D. Sorry, that's not a D. D would be here. G, F sharp. So what I'm finding there is that when I play more A minor sounds over that, it's safe, but because we're only going from G to D, it very much feels like we're in the key of G. So it doesn't really make sense because, we're actually now, essentially, because we've taken out everything else, the context is gone, which means that we're now feeling like we're in G. So now I'm going to put in the A minor, the E7, the G, and the D. And we're going to play a little bit with that. Then to G. Back to A minor. Putting back in an F natural. So I hope that helps. And so what I would do is find a looper or find a way to record it into GarageBand or Logic or whatever platform that you use, so that you can use these little ideas to simplify what you're trying to do. And I literally will bring this up on a notepad, exactly what I've done here. And that will help me to remember what I'm doing, keep it simple, and play through the changes. So if you are curious about this, you can reach out to me and I'll send you through the link to the info. But I hope that helps. All you got to do, just write down all the chords, write down all the notes that are in those chords, make sure that they're majors or minors, and then from the first chord, write them all out in order, and that should help you start to understand what key you're in. And then if you don't know what a mode it is, it doesn't matter, because as long as you're playing the notes that are in the chords, you are playing the scale of that song. I hope that helps. Enjoy. Let me know how you go.